So today we're discussing communication climate. Another way to imagine communication climate is what we previously called the social and emotional context, or what is happening between the sender and receiver in their environment that is affecting communication. There are levels of message confirmation, such as recognition, acknowledgement, and endorsement. Confirmation means that I am acknowledging that I have received a message. So I can recognize a message if, for example, a car door slams, I might get startled. It signals that I've heard the car door. If I acknowledge, it means I wave to that person who is exiting the car. And if I endorse, it would be saying, hey, it's John, my best friend. Right? So there are levels to confirmation or message reception. Disconfirmation includes avoiding eye contact, ignoring requests, or failing to answer questions or reply to texts. This, in your relationship, might be the silent treatment that he or she or they give you. Interaction adaptation theory suggests that individuals simultaneously adapt their communication behaviors to the behaviors of others. So if you're really reaching some sort of rapport with somebody, you might mimic or mirror their nonverbal behavior. If you spend time with somebody, you might also pick up their verbal habits, words they use, or mannerisms. Similarly, emotional contagion is an interesting phenomenon. It suggests that emotion is contagious. For example, if you're at a baseball game and the fans around you are riled up and high-fiving, you are more likely to be riled up and high-fiving in good spirits also. In the same regard, if you have a friend who is always sad or depressed, you are more likely to be sad and depressed because emotions are contagious. Mixed messages occur when nonverbal cues are not congruent with verbal messages. That sad or depressed friend might tell you they're fine or they're feeling good when in fact you know they are not. This is called a mixed message. And in our interpersonal relationships, we might be inadvertently contributing to unhealthy communication climates by our own incongruency, by our own mixed messages that we're sending to people and our own behaviors. In some ways, we can contribute to animosity or drama simply by being defensive. If, for example, my friend asks me, how are you doing? And I say, you know how I'm doing. You could tell I'm in a bad mood, when in fact maybe he or she was really trying to ask me how I was doing. And I received that defensively. And because of that defensive listening posture that I took, I am contributing to a bad climate. Um, so to contribute to more productive or positive communication environments, we can use invitational language. Language of choice suggests that we can ask questions so that a person comes to their own self-regulation instead of making demands. So instead of saying, you're bad to a child, I'm going to put you on timeout, you can say, since you're making the choice to, it appears like you're making the choice to be angry, would you like to change your behavior so that we can go to the park, or would you like to remain angry? These are a language of choice that the child should think through, and because of the outcome they want to go to the park, they should, in theory, cease their behavior. You're not making a demand of the child. Kinesics study body motion and how people use their bodies to communicate. Posture and orientation reveal information about openness and attention. So we can signal to somebody that we're open for a discussion by putting our hands at our sides or smiling, open, uncrossing our arms. These are invitational communication tactics. Delivery gestures signal shared understanding between communication. So I can say, I can point to somebody to signal shared understanding. Citing gestures to acknowledge another person's feedback. Again, or seeking gestures to request agreement or clarification would be maybe shrugging my shoulders. What did you say? Say it again. And turn gestures indicate a person can speak. So I might say, oh, wait, what's it? Okay, go ahead. So invitational communication uses these nonverbal and verbal tricks to make a warm and welcoming climate and to avoid defensive type listening and communicative behaviors. In welcoming climates, we can use facial communications to express our feelings and emotions. We inevitably have a very difficult time as humans shielding or controlling our facial expressions. There's a body of literature on this called microaggressions or microexpressions. It's pretty popular in like CIA, FBI interrogation tactics to see somebody's initial split-second response when you ask them a question, because it tends to be honest. The initial reaction is the most honest one. Eye contact is also a key to creating welcoming climates. It shows that you're paying attention and that you are there with the person. So facial communications and eye contact are, including smiling with both your eyes and your mouth, are recognizable nonverbal behaviors worldwide. So these are universal, and they are key to creating a welcoming environment. So to create supportive climates, we can modify our behaviors. The first is to describe rather than evaluate. An example of evaluation might be me saying, "You're a bad kid," versus a description. I could say, "I see that you hit your friend Johnny," and allow the child to explain rather than me judging the child. We can frame something as problem orientation versus control. Controlling might be, if I'm in a argument with my spouse, I might tell her, "I don't want you to go to that party because I don't like the people there," versus problem orientation might be, I can speak to her and say, "We know that some of the people at that party are not good for our relationship. Are you sure you want to go?" So there's two ways to frame and to create a supportive climate where hopefully your partner comes to their own conclusion. Strategic responses refer to canned, prepared type of conversations versus spontaneity, which are truthful ones where your communication partner has not planned any kind of ambush against you. We can create supportive climates by practicing empathy, listening for empathy instead of neutrality. If in fact this is our partner, we may want to empathize with them rather than being the objective voice of reason. In some cases, our partners are expecting us to empathize with them rather than provide honest, objective responses. We can create supportive climates rather than acting superior. We can embrace equality. We can ask our coworkers for feedback, which is critical of ourselves, and rather than acting as superiors to our coworkers, for example. And rather than being certain, we can act provisionally. So rather than me saying to my employee, you made a mistake here, instead I can say, can you take a look at line 3 and tell me if you think this is correct? Because because it because to me I can't figure it out. I might be wrong, but so there are provisional ways rather than to telling somebody, no, you're wrong, that create more supportive climates.